There once was a small village that sat next to a large, steep hill. Perhaps a cliff would be a better description. Too steep to climb without a ladder. The humans there lived hard lives, lives of struggle and scarcity. At some point, the humans of the village realized that if they could climb this hill, their lives would get better. The higher they climbed, the better things got. If you rose up the hill high enough, you could gain all that you desired. Nearly everyone in this town built ladders to help them climb the hill. Those that were the best at building ladders could climb the highest. It had its risks, but if you could build a half-decent ladder, you were practically guaranteed a good life. Those that were able to build the highest ladders lived a life of abundance nearly inconceivable to those living at the bottom of the hill. Each day, the people at the bottom would go out and get to work building their ladders. There were all different kinds of ladders. A short ladder is a simple thing, but the taller you want a ladder to be, the more complicated building it becomes. Some built ladders for other people in exchange for the ability to climb part way up rather than building their own. Everyone talked about building ladders, about how good life was going to be once they climbed a bit higher. Those that had climbed higher talked about how great it was to build tall ladders and climb as high as they had. It was hard work after all. It hadn't been easy, and many never climbed that high. They were justified in the pride they felt in their accomplishment and the admiration they had earned from others. Nearly everyone, even those that were the highest, dreamed of going higher. There was one boy in the village who never spent much time at all building ladders. When everyone else would go to the base of the hill each day to build their ladders and climb them, the boy would go off on his own. Not very social. And what was there to talk to him about if he wasn't interested in ladders or climbing the hill? Sometimes he would show up and climb the little step ladder he had made. It could barely be called a ladder, just enough for him to climb a couple steps up the hill, just enough to get by. He was kind. He always had extra wood for ladder building that he didn't use, and would give to the other villagers. Then, he would go off and spend his days doing other things, sometimes nothing at all. The other villagers would see him just laying there staring up at the sky. They would lament his laziness. Sometimes he would be reading books or off in his small home, making an awful racket, banging away at something. They lamented his laziness not out of contempt. He was a bit odd, but he was a good kid. What they really lamented was what they felt was wasted potential. On the days he would show up to climb his little step stool, those who had built large ladders and succeeded in climbing quite high would tell him he ought to get started building a bigger ladder. They recognized his talent, though it was just a small step stool he had built. They could tell it was sturdy and well made. They would tell him that he would regret it later if he never built anything. You can't just do nothing your whole life, they would say. They would encourage him to start building a ladder, any kind of ladder he wanted, but he needed to start climbing. One day, the village elder came to talk to the boy. The elder asked him, "Why do you never build a ladder, boy?" The boy replied, "I am afraid." The old man smiled gently at him and asked, "What are you afraid of?" The boy replied, "It's dangerous." The elder nodded, thinking he now understood what the problem was. Indeed it is. There is risk in both building and climbing ladders. Sometimes ladders break or fall, and so too do those who climb them. Yet, even though there is a risk, it is the path you must take to get up the hill, and so you climb them. In life, there is always some amount of risk. The boy nodded as he listened. The elder continued, "There might not seem to be much risk in doing nothing, but doing nothing is dangerous too. You see, humans, like all creatures, adapt and grow. They become what they do. If you do nothing, then you will also become nothing. For most, that is most frightening of all. So they take the risk and climb the ladders in front of them, for fear of never becoming anything, of being left behind, and of being alone. Humans are the kind of creatures that can get used to anything. Who will you be if you do nothing and get used to being alone?" The elder was impressed. The boy had listened well and had seemed to understand what he had said. He decided that was enough lecturing for one day, hoping his little talk would help motivate the boy to overcome his fear and begin building. The elder was once a great ladder builder, but as he had grown older, his focus had shifted. What he focused on building now was the young, the next generation of builders. As he and the boy parted ways, he said, "You'll be fine, boy. You just have to get started. Remember, you become what you do. Once you get started building, you'll get your first few rungs under your belt. You'll get busy, and you'll be a successful ladder builder before you know it." More to himself than to the elder, the boy quietly replied, "That's what I'm afraid of. That's why it's dangerous." "What did you say, boy? I'm growing deaf with age." "I said thank you for your wise words. I'll be sure to remember them." To the disappointment of the elder, after their talk, the boy seemed to spend even less time climbing his little stepladder, and seemed to show no more interest than before in beginning to build anything bigger. Some of the villagers complained about the incessant banging coming from his little home all the time. If he's going to do nothing instead of building ladders, could he at least do it quietly? The boy had said he was afraid, the elder thought to himself. But perhaps that was just an excuse, and the other villagers were right. Perhaps the boy was simply lazy and had no ambition after all. The boy thought the elder was certainly right about one thing. He had gotten used to being alone and not building ladders. He continued spending his days just getting by, staring up at the clouds and banging away in his home late into the evening. The elder again came to talk to the boy. The other villagers had begun to complain more about the boy. He was lazy and made a lot of noise. There were even rumors that he was up to no good with all that noise he was always making. Nobody knew what the boy was doing in there every evening. Humans are the kinds of creatures that fear the unknown and have very vivid imaginations. The elder intended to find out what all the noise was about before another villager decided to. The boy was very hesitant to let the elder come into his home. Suspicious, the elder thought, and then he saw it and understood why. In the center of the boy's home, among piles of wires and oddly shaped metal parts, taking up the majority of the space, was a tall metal cylinder. The elder was taken aback. His mind began to race. He had never seen such a thing. How long had this been here? What is it? Is it dangerous? How did it get here? Did the boy build this himself? He exclaimed, "What in God's name is all this?" "A ladder," the boy replied. People fear what they do not understand. Sometimes when people fear something, they choose to simply avoid it entirely. They expel it from their mind. This is what occurred with the elder. He simply couldn't comprehend what he had seen or what the boy could be doing, so he chose to ignore it. The boy knew there was quite a high probability of failure, that he was putting all his eggs in one proverbial basket, that there was a good chance he would get burned, that his life could end in a hot ball of flame and steel, or worse, that nothing would happen at all, that all this time he had spent off alone in his own world would amount to nothing. He would spend the rest of his days in the small village at the bottom of the hill. But it was worth the risk. If what he intended came to pass, if it really worked as he had planned, he would end up higher than any who had come before. A height even the tallest ladders could not reach. He would surpass even those highest on their ladders, those currently at the top. Yes, if it worked, then one day he was going to blast off into the fucking stratosphere. For months, and then years, the noise continued from the boy's home, and the villagers grumbled and complained about it, but none bothered to investigate further. Then it was complete. It was a clear summer morning. Most of the villagers were on their way to the base of the hill to begin their day's work on their ladders, when suddenly they heard a great thunder. They all looked up, yet there were no clouds. Then they saw it, though none of them were quite sure what it was. A great metal tube, breathing smoke and explosion from its base, soaring through the sky. It was all the boy could do to hold on. He rose up alongside the ladders on the hill. Soon, he rose higher than nearly all of them. Only a few remained in view. Then, none at all. How quickly he had surpassed them all. He continued up, where no other had been before. All his life they had said to go as high as possible. There you would find wealth, power, fame, status, all the things humans want for. These were all abundant for his taking now. He was higher up the hill than any had ever been before. But he couldn't help but wonder now that he was here, whether he had, in a way, entirely missed the point. What was the point? He was still alone. Most would look at my life and see failure across nearly every metric that humans use to gauge success. However, when they look upon themselves, they see something different. They compare their accomplishments and results of their hard work to my own, their jobs, their wealth, their status, their social connections, their success. They compare their ambition to what they perceive to be my lack of it. They look down upon me from where they stand and see an ant. But when I look upon them, I see the same thing. The funny thing about human perception is that if they focus on the ground below them, looking at what they believe is an ant, they might entirely fail to notice a great lion looming over them. They get in their head that what they are seeing is a lack of ambition, small in comparison to their own, when in reality, what is in front of their narrow focus is an ambition so large they fail to see it at all. Or perhaps they choose not to. For how would their own ambition look in comparison? But should even this great ambition one day be realized, what will it amount to? What appears to be a lion is just another ant. Who am I? I am just an ant, alone, without resources. What can one ant do alone? Should you help the ant? What is the most important thing a human can do with their time and resources? Have you been searching for a connection to something greater? If all the ants invest just a small amount of time and resources, how large could the seed grow? That is for you to decide. There are links in the description. Share, like, subscribe, grow.